When I studied the Constitution in high school, it really didn't connect with me. It wasn't until later on when I studied philosophy and world history and understood certain events that were going on in other parts of the world that I really grew an appreciation for my rights as a United States citizen, the First Amendment, freedom of speech, freedom of expression, and of course our freedom of the press. Now, that just applies to United States citizens, but when you look at the United Nations, they have a universal declaration of human rights, which contains a spirit, contains these same rights, freedom of speech, freedom of religion, of course, for every human being in the world. And I strongly promote that. Recently, the actor that played Borat made a speech promoting censorship. So this is a guy that comes from England, where they don't have freedom of speech. They've enacted a whole bunch of so-called hate speech laws. They actually encourage citizens to report on posts they see in social media that they find offensive. They have an instance where the police came and kicked the door down and arrested a woman in front of her kids for something she posted on Twitter. This is also a country that doesn't have freedom of the press. A judge has the power to order a media blackout of the entire country regarding a case. And even when the trial is over, if somebody reports on it, they can just throw them in prison without due process. So this guy is going to give us in the United States a lecture on how we should be doing enacting our free speech. And he's promoting the European Union style of censorship. European Union style of censorship where you can't criticize an immigration policy you don't agree with. European style censorship where you can criticize and even ridicule a certain religion all day long, but there's another religion that gets special privileges and you're not allowed to criticize that one. So this is what he believes we should be doing in the U.S. And he gives this speech for the ADL, Anti-Defamation League, and his speech is so repugnant. And the ADL for giving this moron some kind of award and applauding everything he said. Talk about an organization that seriously needs a change in leadership. He goes after social media and he tries to equate democracy with censorship. And then he says we need to have censorship to protect ourselves from an authoritarian regime. But what he's advocating for leads us towards an authoritarian regime. This guy is so naive. He reminds me of the Jar Jar Binks character in Star Wars when he grants Palpatine, Darth Sidious, emergency powers in the Senate. This is what he had to say.
And it's no surprise that the greatest propaganda machine in history has spread the oldest conspiracy theory in history. The lie that Jews are somehow dangerous. As one headline put it, just think what Goebbels could have done with Facebook.
So this guy considers Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube to be the biggest propaganda machine in history and says they're promoting the propaganda that Jews are dangerous. I've never seen anything sponsored by those companies saying Jews are dangerous. Now, there are certainly whack jobs that make comments on YouTube videos. I've had to make comments on my YouTube video blaming Jews for everything, and I delete those comments. Get the hell off of my videos, you freaking whack jobs. So if he's referring to that, he's referring to certain whack jobs that post these comments, that is not endorsed, that is not promoted by these three companies. And you can't control what occasional whack job is going to post on your video. And to say that they're responsible for that is ludicrous. And then he makes a Nazi reference. Yeah, that's how the Nazis took control of Germany. They did it through Facebook ads.
And social media lets authoritarians push absurdities to billions of people. Now, in their defense, these social media companies have taken some steps to reduce hate and conspiracies on their platforms, but these steps have been mainly superficial. And I'm talking about this today because I believe that our pluralistic democracies are on a precipice, and then the next 12 months and the role of social media could be determinant. Now, British voters will go to the polls while online conspiracists promote the despicable theory of the Great Replacement, that white Christians are being deliberately replaced by Muslim immigrants.
Anybody who criticizes the immigration policy of England, that's a conspiracy theory.
Americans will vote for president while trolls and bots perpetuate the disgusting lie of a Hispanic invasion.
Well, we did have large caravans coming from South America, but that must have been fake news. Now, the United States of America accepts about 1 million legal immigrants a year. Believing that we should control our borders and we should limit illegal immigration, apparently that's some kind of evil, hateful conspiracy theory. But when you look at Hispanic Americans, the majority of Hispanic Americans believe that we should have border security. Apparently, they're a hate group.
And after years of YouTube videos calling climate change a hoax, the United States is on track a year from now to formally withdraw from the Paris Accords. A sewer of bigotry and vile conspiracy theories that threaten our democracy and to some degree our planet. This can't possibly be what the creators of the internet had in mind. I believe that it's time for a fundamental rethink of social media and how it spreads hate, conspiracies, and lies.
In other words, political views that you don't agree with.
Now, last month, however, Mark Zuckerberg of Facebook delivered a major speech that, not surprisingly, warned against new laws and regulations on companies like his. Well, some of these arguments are simply, pardon my French, bullshit. Let's count the ways. First, Zuckerberg tried to portray this whole issue as choices around free expression. That is ludicrous. This is not about limiting anyone's free speech. This is about giving people, including some of the most reprehensible people on earth,
people that hold different political views than you do,
the biggest platform in history to reach a third of the planet.
I don't know if he realizes this or not, but just because social media can reach a third of the population of the planet doesn't mean when you post something, a third of the population can see it.
Freedom of speech is not freedom of reach.
This has to be one of the dumbest statements I ever heard. Yes, freedom of speech is freedom to actually have your speech heard.
Sadly, there will always be racists, misogynists, anti-Semites, and child abusers. But I think we can all agree that we should not be giving bigots and pedophiles a free platform to amplify their views and target their victims.
Which we already don't, because these media companies have policies, whereas if you violate the policy, you get kicked off, lose your post, have your channel removed, what have you. These policies already exist.
Second, Mark Zuckerberg claimed that new limits on what's posted on social media would be to pull back on free expression. This is utter nonsense. The First Amendment says that, and I quote, "Congress shall make no law abridging freedom of speech." However, this does not apply to private businesses like Facebook.
That has nothing to do with what Zuckerberg said. He said doing all this censorship pulls back on freedom of expression, which it does. He then goes into, oh, well, you have a private company, so the First Amendment doesn't apply. That's completely different, doesn't address anything at all regarding what Zuckerberg said. He does this a lot. It seems to me this guy is really dishonest. I mean, he'll just take a situation that doesn't even exist and pose it as a problem and address it when it has nothing to do with the original statement.
We're not asking these companies to determine the boundaries of free speech across society. We just want them to be responsible on their platforms.
But today, social media is the speech across our society. That is today's communication platform.
Now, if a neo-Nazi comes goose-stepping into a restaurant and starts threatening other customers and saying he wants to kill Jews, would the owner of the restaurant, a private business, be required to serve him an elegant 8-course meal? Of course not. The restaurant owner has every legal right, and indeed, I would argue, a moral obligation to kick that Nazi out. And so do these internet companies.
And they already do. They already have policies against that kind of speech. They already kick off the platform people who try to promote that kind of thing. So these policies are already in place. But what Borat's talking about isn't somebody coming in goose stepping and saying all this language against Jews. What he's talking about is somebody saying, you know what? I don't agree with my country's immigration policy. That's what he's equating to this scenario where, oh my gosh, well then you're for murder and you're a Nazi and all this crap. That's hate speech, and that's why this guy is deranged and dangerous.
Now, third, Mark Zuckerberg seemed to equate regulation of companies like his to the actions of the most repressive societies. Incredible. This from one of the 6 people who decide what information so much of the world sees.
He doesn't decide. He's got a whole bunch of creators that post things, and as long as they fall within guidelines, they're able to do so. That's what the business is. It's a bunch of individual creators. And what he's talking about is the most repressive societies censor. That's absolutely true. I am an outspoken atheist. In the United States, that's not a problem. There are places where people like me are imprisoned and murdered. In Bangladesh, outspoken atheist bloggers butchered in broad daylight. So you don't have that freedom of speech in these repressive societies. You have censorship. You're not allowed to criticize government. You're not allowed to criticize religion. So yeah, censorship comes from these oppressive societies, the kind of crap that you are promoting.
Zuckerberg at Facebook, Sundar Pichai at Google, at its parent company, Alphabet, Larry Page and Sergey Brin, Brin's ex-sister-in-law, Susan Wojcicki at YouTube, and Jack Dorsey at Twitter. The Silicon Six. All billionaires, all Americans who care more about boosting their share price than about protecting democracy.
He is equating censorship to protecting democracy.
This is ideological imperialism. 6 unelected individuals in Silicon Valley imposing their vision on the rest of the world, unaccountable to any government and acting like they're above the reach of law. It's like we're living in the Roman Empire and Mark Zuckerberg is Caesar. At least that would explain his haircut. Now, here's an idea. Instead of letting the Silicon Six decide the fate of the world, let our elected representatives, voted for by the people of every democracy in the world, have at least some say.
There you have it. Allow government officials the power to control our speech. Isn't that just absolutely amazing? Like I said, this is Jar Jar Binks giving emergency powers to Palpatine.
Fourth, Zuckerberg speaks of welcoming a diversity of ideas. And last year he gave us an example. He said that he found posts denying the Holocaust deeply offensive, but he didn't think Facebook should take them down because I think there are things that different people get wrong.
And Mark Zuckerberg got it right. Those posts should not be taken down. Neither should the posts be taken down of people that argue the earth is 6,000 years old and all of life was created pretty much the same as it is now. Neither should it be taken down. Flat earth, people that believe in flat earth, let them post that and let other people post things that completely debunk those ridiculous views.
At this very moment, there are still Holocaust deniers on Facebook, and Google still takes you to the most repulsive Holocaust denial sites with a simple click. One of the heads of Google, in fact, told me that these sites just show both sides of the issue. This is madness. To quote Edward R. Murrow, one cannot accept that there are on every story 2 equal and logical sides to an argument. We have, unfortunately, millions of pieces of evidence for the Holocaust. It is an historical fact. And denying it is not some random opinion. Those who deny the Holocaust aim to encourage another one.
Well, if that's what you're searching for, yeah.
Still, Zuckerberg says that people should decide what is credible, not tech companies. But at a time when 2/3 of millennials say that they haven't even heard of Auschwitz, how are they supposed to know what's credible? How are they supposed to know that the lie is a lie?
I don't know, maybe if we educate them and we teach them how to research and what a trusted source of knowledge is, what primary sources of history are, I don't know, maybe we educate them?
There is such a thing as objective truth. Facts do exist. And if these internet companies really want to make a difference, they should hire enough monitors to actually monitor, work closely with groups like the ADL and the NAACP, insist on facts, and purge these lies and conspiracies from their platforms.
Work with the ADL after they gave this clown a reward and applauded everything he said about censorship? That's who we should put our media trust in?
Now, fifth, when discussing the difficulty of removing content, Mark Zuckerberg asked, where do you draw the line? Yes, drawing the line can be difficult. But here's what he's really saying. Removing more of these lies and conspiracies is just too expensive.
Where do we draw the line? That's a legitimate question. That's a very important question. So Borat doesn't even answer. He goes, oh, no. But what he's really asking is, and something else completely, very dishonest. Where is he getting this from? Maybe Mark Zuckerberg, when he says, where do we draw the line? Maybe he really is asking, where do we draw the line?
These are the richest companies in the world, and they have the best engineers in the world. They could fix these problems if they wanted to. Twitter could deploy an algorithm to remove more white supremacist hate speech, but they have reportedly haven't because it would eject some very prominent politicians from their platform. Maybe that wouldn't be such a bad thing.
Yeah, like politicians who say we should control our borders.
The truth is, these companies won't fundamentally change because their entire business model relies on generating more engagement, and nothing generates more engagement than lies, fear, and outrage.
Really? So music, sports, humor, that stuff's not getting any hits at all? That stuff's not popular? What YouTube, what Facebook is he using? Because I don't know, when I go to Facebook or I go to YouTube and recommended videos, or I see posts that other people are posting, humor, a lot of music, because I like music, listen to a lot of it, so I have a lot of recommended videos, music, 60s, 50s, also into kind of like retro old stuff. So you know how YouTube works, what you're interested in and what you click on. You usually get recommendations, Facebook posts of family pictures from people I'm on Facebook with. So I'm just not seeing this evil hideousness that he's seeing. You know, oh, you gotta lie to get popularity. I mean, I'm just seeing a lot of music, sports, humor, especially humor. And so where is all this propaganda, evil propaganda that he's talking about? Now, I do get political posts on Facebook, different politicians asking for money, both on the Democratic side and the Republican side. Is this evil propaganda that he's talking about? Who knows?
So it's time to finally call these companies what they really are, the largest publishers in history.
But they're not. It's a communication platform with a ton of individual contributors.
So here's an idea for them. Abide by basic standards and practices, just like newspapers, magazines, and TV news do every day.
Yes, because we never get any bias or many misinformation from newspapers, magazines, or television. And this is where I'm going to end it, because like Popeye says, it's all I can stand because I can't stand no more. The total video, there's a link in the description of this video. Now, not surprising that a video on censorship when if you click on this video, you can't see the likes, dislikes, and the comments are turned off. So on this ADL video promoting censorship, they completely limit your freedom of speech and freedom of expression to comment on that video. Very telling. But anyway, please tell me what you think. I think I've been pretty straightforward with my thoughts. I just thought this was absolutely misguided and abhorrent. I think this guy is completely naive, completely a clown, just a pawn for elitist politicians that are out to control our speech. They're just using this guy. So that's my take on it. This is Jim Wall. Thanks for watching. Until next time.
Cisco, do we have to leave all our good friends now? Only until next time, Pancho. Adios, amigos.